Now for technique 6, select best suited then negotiate. Like the last technique, technique 6 doesn't really fit for FAR subpart 15.3 source selections, but it does fit for simplified acquisitions, ordering against scheduled contracts, and ordering against multiple award IDIQ contracts. You have to be careful using this technique. You still want to make sure your procurement attorney is supportive. There is risk associated with this technique, but we still want to share it with you. You have to make the decision.
We share it because we want to fully understand the flexibilities that the FAR already gives us, and we want to be ready to use any tool in the toolbox, so to speak, to best meet whatever acquisition comes our way.
First, remember that the structured approach of exchanges with offers that is described in FAR 15.3 only applies to source selections. And we're not talking about source selections for this technique. We're talking about the simplified acquisitions, the schedule orders, and the orders against multiple award IDIQ contracts. The procedures of FAR 15.3 don't apply outside of 15.3. Instead, the standard that applies is simply one of fairness. As long as we treat offers or quoters fairly, we have great discretion on the processes we use when describing those evaluation factors outside of 15.3. Let's start with some sample text from a solicitation. Here is the real text that was used in a real acquisition of Homeland Security called HART. Please press pause if you need some time to read the text.
HART was a fair opportunity consideration for an order against multiple award IDIQ contracts, about $107 million. The contracting officer put text in the solicitation saying that the government could select the apparently successful offeror and then hold exchanges with only that offeror to finalize all the details, including technical and price.
And that's what happened. The government selected the apparently successful offer and then held exchanges with only that offer. After the debriefing, an unsuccessful offer protested to the GAO. Here's the pertinent text from the GAO decision. As you can see, the text was in the solicitation, and the government did what the solicitation said it could do. Everything was fair. The key is that FAR 15.3 procedures do not apply to fair opportunity considerations for an order against multiple award IDIQ contracts. So there is no need to form a competitive range, set a common cutoff for proposal revisions, and so forth. The only requirements are that we follow our own solicitations, which we write, and that we treat offers fairly. The principle of fairness is important here.
Let me share an example of when this technique might fit. We recommend including the text similar to the HART solicitation in all solicitations for simplified acquisitions, orders against scheduled contracts, and orders against multiple award IDIQ contracts. You won't know whether you will use this technique until after you have evaluated your quotes or offers. So including the text in your solicitation saying that you may is very important. So let's say you did, and let's say you have 3 quotes. Clearly, in this example, quote A is the apparently successful offeror. Hands down, quote A is the best value. But maybe, let's suppose quote A's price of $901,000 is just a little higher than the purchase request amount of $900,000. With language similar to HART in the solicitation, I can call quote A and ask if it can drop its price by $1,000 without changing anything else. If quote A says yes, I award quote A for $900,000. Have I been unfair to the other quoters? No, everything was fair. Quote A is the best value. I just made the best value even better.
I agree, John. But what if quote A says no? Or says that it will have to change its technical approach to make that price reduction?
That's not a problem, Trevor. I still have all sorts of tools in my toolbox. I could go back and get a purchase request amendment to add $1,000. Or I could open price negotiations with all 3, or maybe even just 2. Or I could do a solicitation amendment to lower the technical requirement and ask for updated quotes. I could do any of these things if quoter says no. But if the quoter says yes, I can make the award and no one has been treated unfairly. I simply made the best quote even better.
Let me offer another example. Let's look at another acquisition. Here, we fairly evaluated based on the evaluation factors, and quote B is the best value. Again, it is clear to see. But let's say that quote B included an assumption in its proposal, and that the assumption is problematic for us. We aren't in 15.3, so I call quote B, and I ask if it can drop its assumption. What are the possible answers? Quote B could say yes, or they could say no. Or they could say, we can, but will affect some other aspect of our proposal. Well, we can deal with any of those answers. If quote B says yes, it can drop the assumption without changing anything else, then we award to quote B. No one else has been treated unfairly. The best quote was just made better. If quote B says no, or says we can, but it will affect some other aspect of our proposal, then the ball is back in our court. We can open negotiations with 2 or 3 quoters. We can do a solicitation amendment to address the assumption and get revised proposals. But if quote B says yes, we award and we're done. Again, fairness is an important principle. We have to treat the quoters fairly.
The government has the leverage during the negotiation here, as the award has not yet been made. Too often we come to the kickoff meeting and we already have modification 1 prepared to address one of these scenarios. We lose that leverage when the award has already been finalized.